Welcome to Your Bookkeeping Matters. I'm Lisa Turner, bringing you short and snackable weekly episodes on bookkeeping and business matters in an easy to understand way so you can be in control and confident that you know your bookkeeping matters. Let's dive into this week's episode. Hello, wonderful listener. Today, I've got something on my mind I need to get off my chest. Tax invoices. I don't know about you, but this is one thing which always gets my goat. When business owners can't seem to issue a proper tax invoice. It's like, seriously? We're not asking for a masterpiece. We only need the basics done right. Do you have this same frustration when you ask suppliers for your invoices? Picture this. Wrong ABNs, quoting ancient inactive ones, or worse, a digit missing. It's not rocket science. And when we call these business owners out on it, in my business Accounted for You, when we're contacting suppliers on behalf of our clients, we do it in our AFY super friendly way, of course, letting them know what's missing or needs changing. What do we often get back? I'll check with my accountant. Come on. Knowing your own ABN and how to issue an invoice compliant with our Australian taxation requirements is Business 101. Own it and get it right. Now, don't even get me started on business owners playing a risky game with GST, charging it when they're not registered, or skipping charging when they should be. It's like a comedy of errors, only no one is laughing and my head hurts. It's not about making life difficult for business owners. We want all things to run smoothly. So please, dear businesses, do yourself and everyone a favour. Get your tax invoices in order, fix those ABNs, and let's move on without the headaches. First up, the basics of a tax invoice and why we need them. If you're new to running a business or thinking about starting one, there are basics of a tax invoice, nothing fancy, no tech skills required, 8 simple items. 1, the words tax invoice on it, or the document has the intent of being an invoice. In other words, it can't say quote or anything else leading to the fact it's not an invoice. So if you're not registered for GST, it simply needs to say invoice, as there's no tax involved, because yes, even if you're not registered for GST, you still need to issue invoices. Number 2, you, the seller, your identity, your business name, your address, email, those kind of things. Number 3, your ABN or Australian business number. Number 4, the date the invoice was issued. Number 5, a brief description and price. Number 6, the GST amount, if any. Number 7, the extent or amount of GST on each part of the sale. And number 8, for sales over $1,000, you also need to pop your customer's name or ABN on the invoice. You can dive back and check out my super early podcast episode, Do Your Tax Invoices Say the Right Thing, to get even more info on this and getting it right. These documents aren't for fun or to waste people's time. It's what you need here in Australia to be able to claim the purchase as an expense in your business. You can only claim purchases when you have an invoice to support the claim with a valid ABN on it to show you've bought from a business. I'm not talking about purchases from private individuals. That's a different kettle of fish. So part of our job here at Accounted for You, when taking care of our clients' precious financials, we check the invoices, we check the ABNs, so our clients know they have the documents they need. It's literally our job. So we spend a fair bit of time peeking at invoices, hitting up the ABN register, checking them, checking for GST status. And trust me when I say, we spend way too much time going back to business owners, not our clients, their suppliers, telling them to update these super simple items. One of the latest comebacks from a business owner was, I'm running a hobby. I don't need to put an ABN on my invoices. Guess what? If this is you, you're in a bit of hot water. I've got an episode rolling around in the future on what a hobby business is and isn't. But if you've issued an invoice, I highly doubt you meet the rules to be considered a hobby, because if you have the intent to make a profit or you do repeat business, it's no longer a hobby. Get yourself an ABN stat. It doesn't mean you have to register for GST instantly. Next, I want to run through the drama of incorrect GST charges, which I mentioned at the start. This is either not charging GST when you should or charging when you shouldn't. And GST is our Australian Goods and Services Tax. If you aren't registered for GST, you can't charge it. This one is pretty cut and dry. I've seen businesses charge GST and when queried, tell me my client or my customer is registered for GST, so I need to charge them GST. Like, what the actual? Look at it like this. How can you charge a tax you are not registered for? Don't try and make up your own rules here. There are super strict rules, and once you know them, they're actually quite straightforward. The implications on this one turn into several issues. You get into trouble with the ATO. Your customer gets in trouble with the ATO for claiming GST when it doesn't exist. And if they have a trusty bookkeeper on the tools for them, like us who check these things, everyone's time and money is wasted because your invoice was incorrect. On the flip side, if you're not charging GST when you're registered for GST, this is another big no-no. If you're registered for GST, you need to charge it. You can't pick and choose when you charge it. The only times you don't are if you actually sell GST-free items such as water, there are a few different ones, or the goods or services are consumed overseas. Check out episode 66, You're Registered for GST, Now What?, to get the finer details here. I was gobsmacked when we queried someone registered for GST, but they hadn't charged our client any GST, and their response to us was, "Oh, I registered, but I haven't reached the threshold yet, so I don't want to charge it." Listening close. If you voluntarily register for GST, this means you register before you reach the threshold. Currently in Australia, it's $75,000 in sales. You have to charge GST because you're registered. Now, I have heard every single excuse or story you can think of. I could write a book. If you have a funny or not so funny story, I'd love to hear it. DM us on Instagram or shoot us an email. Lastly today, I want to look at the blame game business owners play and your solution to this. So you, as the business owner issuing invoices, can skip the game and know what you need to do. And if you're the business customer not getting a valid and compliant tax invoice, you also know what you need to get. If a business owner asks you for an invoice or someone's bookkeeper emails you, let's pretend it's us here at Accounted For You, we've checked your invoice and found it's missing some key info. We always step you through what's missing so you can add it on. We always try to help people. Do not email us back saying, "I need to check with my accountant." Can you imagine what we're thinking or your client is thinking when you say this? It tells us you don't know how to run your business. Do you want people thinking this way about you? Saying you don't know and you need to check with someone else when it's your business is a bit of a cop-out. Knowing the basics like your ABN and how to issue an invoice is part of the essential basics a business owner needs to know. If you get the invoicing right, it helps your relationship with your customers. It saves you time having to redo things. Taking us back to the start, how your customers or other businesses like mine, we might see your lack of knowledge around this foundational topic as unprofessional. It's an important touch point, so make sure you get it right first go. And if it's highlighted to you yours needs fixing, jump on it, take ownership, and provide everyone who deals with you a positive experience. Okay, my rant is over now. If any of these issues sound like you, it's time to put your big business owner pants on and get responsible. Now you know better, do better. It is honestly such a simple task to make sure you get it right. If you want to work for yourself and run a business, it is your responsibility to get across topics like this and get it right. The ATO will laugh at you while sending through hefty penalties and fines with your I didn't know approach. Now, I don't know your personal or business circumstances as to if or when you should register for GST. As with all my podcast episodes, they're general advice and you should always absolutely get professional advice from your trusty BAS agent bookkeeper like me or your tax agent accountant. I say BAS agent bookkeeper because not all bookkeepers are BAS agents, and if they're not, they can't give you any support or advice on this one. Another app for you to go back and check out around this is hiring a bookkeeper. Here's what you need to know. You might be thinking, wow, there is so much to know even from day dot of running your own business, and this is so true. You're right, there is actually loads you need to learn, know, and have in place. How can you find out and learn all these things? Because it's your job now, your responsibility to be across these things, like I said, and get it right. And seeing all the business owners getting the basics not quite right was one of the main reasons I created my online training covering these foundations or basics. And it's called Bookkeeping Matters Blueprint. And doors will be opening later this year. And if you want to know when they open, pop your name on the waitlist over at accountedforyou.com.au/BMB. And I would love to see your name on the list. And if you've made any of these invoice mistakes and want to learn more, I would absolutely love to help you. As a proactive business owner, I thoroughly enjoy teaching, educating, and supporting small business owners who want to get it right. It's the ones that don't want to try really get my goat. Now, thanks for tuning in to today's episode. I don't often get my rant on, but sometimes we need to. Like I said, I love teaching and educating business owners like you who are listening so you can do things the right way and grow your business to everything you want it to be. If you have found value in today's episode, don't forget to subscribe or follow or share the show with your biz bestie, and I will catch you next week.